All right, let's see if this works. All right, is this everything good? Hell yeah! All right, so welcome to my presentation entitled Van Morrison, unsung comic genius, tragic hero, or just an asshole. You might be wondering why am I this interested in Van Morrison? And I think an important thing to know about me is that I have an old dad and he's also obsessed with Van Morrison, and so it's inherited in my blood. And I've had multiple girlfriends tell me in my life I've never heard someone talk to their father for 2 hours about Van Morrison. So this has been an issue plaguing me in my life, and now I finally get to share it in the guise of quarantine entertainment with you, the world. Uh, so most of the information that I'm going to tell you from this podcast was actually from memory of things that my dad has yelled at me just about Van Morrison and a gleeful rage of an Italian man. And other things were Wikipedia. There is a podcast called Disgraceland that probably goes into more detail, but I didn't listen to it because I had my dad, so I didn't have to. So let me explain to you my thesis, which is that Van Morrison is both underratedly funny and an asshole. But I would say he is mostly a tragic hero in that he is like a Greek myth come to life of if a potato was given the voice of a soul singer, but their curse is that whenever they're not singing, they're just a potato. So that might be a lot to take in, but let me give you Exhibit A, which is just that he does resemble a potato if that potato joined middle school jazz band. So this is an important counterpoint. The one on the left is Van Morrison. And that is the photo on his Wikipedia page. So he's fine with this. I'm not even mocking it. And if, you might think, well, he's an old man, maybe that's cruel, but this has been his whole life. These are the album covers he's chosen, where he's preternaturally unable to pose like a normal human being. These are from multiple decades of Van Morrison album covers. You have to think that they took a lot of photos that he said, yeah, I'm fine with this. Most egregious is this double whammy, his band in the street choir, which is one of his best albums, and this is what he chose to put on the front of it. You gotta admire someone who gives so few fucks about doing anything the way a normal human would do it. But again, an important thing to remember is he's insanely talented. That's what makes it so tragic. He's a virtuoso, like a child prodigy. He could play guitar, keyboards, and harmonica and saxophone by the time he was 17. He'd already toured Europe with his first band, Them, by 18, and he toured the States at 21. So he's putting all of us to shame. And their most famous song, Gloria, which has become a punk rock staple, covered by Patti Smith and early incarnations of The Clash, he improvised. He just was playing live and just made up the song on the spot. He just is an insane human. And while he was touring the States, this is one of my favorite early Van Morrison facts. A different Morrison, Jim, saw him performing live and stole his whole, at the time, persona as a young man. He was wild on stage, going drunkenly into poetry as opposed to what he was supposed to be singing. And so this guy took the whole thing, which is one of the many reasons why Jim Morrison, unlike Van Morrison, is a hack bitch. So I'll just let that be known. And again, reasons why I consider Van Morrison potato-esque, you got to appreciate. So I don't know how he inspired Jim Morrison, because if you ever watch him on stage now, and he's talked about this in interviews, that he used to do a lot of moving on stage and then just decided at one point, fuck it, I'm going to stand still, which he those are his words. And so you need to watch the man in action, like the disparity between the amount of emotion in his words versus what he's actually emitting. Oh, the shoulders, the legs so firmly planted, like the roots of a tuber. Like he just couldn't possibly emote if he chose. Have you ever seen someone scat with dead eyes? You're about to. He looks physically repulsed by performing, and he's killing it. That's the crazy. He's hitting notes, he's improvising, he's doing this all on the fly with what he's playing, and he looks disgusted at the very act of showing you anything of what's inside him. It boggles the mind. But the my favorite Van Morrison story is also a Boston story, which is why my dad likes to yell it so much. And that is the story of Bang Records, which was so Van Morrison. I haven't given you any biographical information. Was born in Belfast, which is not obvious from the fact that he sings like someone from like the deep south. But so he's from Northern Ireland. He comes to the States with the first band, and then they're getting popular, and so he signs a record label with this guy Bert Berns at a label in New York called Bang Records. Their previous big deal was having Neil Diamond, so they had a type of white guys singing soul. That was their thing. And Bang Records, Van Morrison does not read the contract because he's never, as you'll see, his whole life is someone who couldn't meet an artistic or big life moment or big artistic breakthrough without in some way fucking it up drastically. So he does not read his contract, and basically he makes what he thinks is going to be a couple of singles that they put into an album called Van Morrison Blowing Your Mind without telling him. So this one, he has a bit of an excuse for looking like that because he didn't know it was coming out, or he didn't choose the name Blowing Your Mind, and he's so mad. But then this album has Brown Eyed Girl on it, so it becomes one of the biggest successes of his career. It is still ranked by certain polls as the fourth most requested song by DJs in the world. It's an international smash hit, basically universally loved song at this point in time that he gets no money off of. He does not own the rights to it, and he is so happy to tell you that in interviews. It's so wonderful to watch an excited reporter be like, I love Brown Eyed Girl, and Van Morrison says, why? I don't give a shit about that song. I wrote it when I was like 19. I don't get any money off of it. And I've written, these are his words, I've written 300 songs better than that song. I don't know if he's written 300 songs. He does have an expensive catalog, but boy, if you want to instantly piss off someone who's very easy to piss off, bring up Brown Eyed Girl to Van Morrison. So he's not making any money off of this smash hit. He gets into an argument with Bert Berns of Bang Records, and Bert Berns dies. He has a heart attack. And Bert Berns' wife says, it's your fault, Van Morrison. She decides that the argument caused her husband's death, and she then makes it her mission in life to fuck over Van Morrison. She gets him banned from every club in New York. He cannot perform. Let's see, is there, okay. He cannot perform. someone has written in, Brown Eyed Girl is a song about butt sex, and I think about that whenever it comes on. Is that true? No. It is it is about fucking, and it was banned, or actually it was censored. So what radio stations used to do is there's the song Making Love in the Green Grass, and they would just replace it with a different lyric from earlier in the song. So it just is weirdly looped. And there's a couple of box sets where that's still the version of the song. All of these are many reasons why Van Morrison is so mad about this song that he had so little to do. And it will forever be his legacy. But he is banned from clubs in New York. She tries to get him deported because she finds out that his Irish visa is expired. And so he has to hastily marry his girlfriend to stay in the country. And then this is where Wikipedia does not say this, but my dad says it loudly and often. She also very well may have put out a hit on Van Morrison with the New York Mafia. And that is one of the many reasons why he fled to Central Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts. He's a local boy. This is a fantastic story that is part of our heritage here in Boston, that we were where Van Morrison hid for his life, assuming, well, they're Irish, I'll blend in with all those other mix and hippies. So he goes to, and he starts playing in jazz clubs. So like he's got this very successful pop song that he refuses to play even at the tender age of 23. And he's famously told a club once in LA, shut the fuck up so I can play a different song. All they wanted to hear was Brown Eyed Girl. He doesn't care. So he plays in jazz bands, and he starts doing what will become Astral Weeks, which if Brown Eyed Girl is his pop culture legacy, his critical legacy is likely Astral Weeks. It's like 8 songs. They're almost all 6 minutes long. They're very jazzy, very folky, very poetic lyrics. It's really doesn't sound like anything else. It's very good. And also, he had almost nothing to do with it. This is the story of his life. He goes in. Eventually, Warner Brothers does buy his contract out from Bang Records because, and this is some of the evidence to suggest maybe it was shadier than current records would like to agree on, is that the buyout for the record happened $20,000 cash in an abandoned warehouse in 9th Avenue on Manhattan. You can't make this stuff up. So that gets Van Morrison out of the record contract, but on the condition that he puts out 36 new songs for Bang Records before he can do anything for Warner Brothers. So he does that in what has been called now by nerds like me that love Van Morrison, the revenge record. He goes and lays down 31-minute songs in one session that he improvises on the spot. These are some of them: Jump and Thump, Hold On George, The Big Royalty Check, Ringworm, Up Your Mind, Blow in Your Nose, Nose in Your Blow, La Mambo, and You Say France and I Whistle. It's all nonsense. And let me get to some of those for you if I can. Oh, I gotta play it just the best. It's not gonna happen. All right, here we go. The best one is by far a song about Ringworm, because why wouldn't he, in the bouts of a improvisational setting, just start singing about Ringworm?
See by the look on your face that you've got ringworm. I'm very sorry, but I have to tell you that you've got ringworm.
Wait for it. Oh. God.
It's a very common disease. Yeah, you're very lucky you to have ringworm, because you may have had something else.
Oh, it's the spooky noise that gets me every time. Whoa! And then for some reason, Bang Records said, we don't want this. So they never sold it. And it was out on bootlegs for a long time until 2017. It finally got put out on a CD that you can purchase now called The Authorized Bang Sessions, which obviously I have. And yeah, so that's how he got to do Astral Weeks. And so he finally has a chance to be free and do what he wants to do. And he goes into a recording booth. He sings, he does a great job. He sings the hell out of the songs and plays guitar, but he also refuses to interact with the band. And just, they ask, what should we play? He goes, whatever you feel like. And then he leaves. And so the record kind of happens totally by accident. So that's another reason why Van Morrison doesn't give a shit about his critical legacy or his popular legacy. He just keeps going because when it comes to human interactions, he can't do them. He just can't. It's incredible. Then let me get you this too. It's one of my favorites, just for the amount of fucks that he gives. No one else just doesn't pronounce words the way Van Morrison doesn't pronounce words correctly. It's incredible. He's got a song where the chorus has the line, all the tea in China. And he sings it correctly for 4 minutes. And then in the breakdown, what's his name? The Barry White style talk down in the middle of the song where he's getting all of his soul out. He chooses to say tea in China like this.
You can take all the tea in China.
What? The man is incapable of doing anything that a human would. He's a potato. And I stand by it. I feel like I've made a good claim to this. But some other just fun facts about Van Morrison. I'll rattle these off because I've already been going for close to 20 minutes, which is more than I'm sure if you ever thought anyone would talk about Van Morrison alone in a room. But during the 80s, he got real into Christianity and Scientology, and then got mad when people said that he did both of those things, putting out an album called No Guru, No Method, No Master, just because he doesn't. Van Morrison in interviews is like an animal caught in a bear trap. He refuses to give any insight into his own creative process other than this is what I get paid to do. He'll say that a lot. He talks about money in interviews so pettily, and it's incredible. Can't recommend it enough. And he, in the past year of our Lord 2019, he put out a new record, his 7th in 5 years. He put out 7 records in 5 years at the age of from 69 to 74. So he's put out this huge resurgence of creativity all of a sudden. And most of the records were like blues covers and old like standards. And then in 2019, he puts out this record, 3 Chords of the Truth, which is weirdly good. Cannot stress it enough. It's almost all originals. It's out of nowhere. It's a 74-year-old man. And it's great. It's a great record. And people were surprised in the music industry that they thought he kind of given up on trying to do new and creative things, but he does it. And then the interviews he gives on this record are just a thing of beauty. My favorite is for The Guardian. This young journalist says, well, first there's this quote. And so I figured for my closing thoughts, I'd let him speak for himself. See, I don't need to explain what I do or how I do it. I don't need to. Other people might do, but I don't. Oh, he's Larry David level curmudgeon. And the best part is at one point he asks, "Why do you care? Why are you trying to make me explain this record?" Which is he clearly a personal album. There's songs on it called "Fame Will Eat the Soul," "Dark Night of the Soul." Uh, all these things are very clearly deeply personal that he refuses to get into. And she says, he goes, why do you care? Why are you trying to get me to talk about them? I don't want to. And she says to him, because your songs have meant more to me than anybody else's. And he replies, ugh. He doesn't even deign it with worthy of language. He just grunts in disgust at the nicest thing anyone could say to an artist. So with that, I think I want to end with an important clip that to me is like an accidental, beautiful comedy sketch. It's got an arc to it. It's incredible. And this is where you get that tragic heroes. This is the moment where he almost, again, you've seen how he normally acts on stage. It's this incredible performance of Caravan on Martin Scorsese's movie, The Last Waltz. And Van, something comes over, but he tries to not be a potato. He tries to move and emote like a human. And you've never seen another person deliver the performance of a lifetime while also in that exact same moment making an absolute ass of themselves. It's incredible. All right, first things first, sequin jacket and a black undershirt over a round tum. You gotta love it. And receding hairline, he's in full effect. I'm gonna let it play for a little bit because it is important to realize that he's doing very well. It makes it much funnier when he tries to finally move. Oh, and the pronunciations are gonna come into play. Right, so he says radio correctly once. Let that be on the record. All right, he's moving away from the mic stand. Still isn't fully committed to moving, but he's getting there. He's warming himself up.
Turn up your radio.
Oh, radio.
Switch on your electric light.
Oh, here it comes. switches the mic. He's getting more confident. Ooh. Oh, he's gonna try a high kick now. So unnatural. Oh yeah. He gets no lift. And then, it's a beautiful thing. He didn't tell them he was walking off stage. He just leaves, and they have to keep playing. They don't know it's over. And that, to me, will always be why Van Morrison is both an unsung comic genius, a tragic figure, and kind of an asshole. Thank you for spending far too much time on this.
Hey, thanks, Joe.
That's too much, huh?
That was terrific.
All right.
We got a little copyright message during it, so hopefully it doesn't get yanked. But
Oh well.
I enjoyed that, and I have a lot of I know there's a lot of comments on the YouTube right now.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I hope. Oh yeah, I've got some messages from Archer, so I'm glad he likes it.
Yeah. I was saying, I just learned that the song "Fool in the Rain" by Led Zeppelin was not Van Morrison. I thought that was Van Morrison forever.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was upset because now I like a Led Zeppelin song, which is disappointing.
Did you are you doing anything with Zoom? Because my computer is just a black screen right now.
Oh, okay. I can still see you, so that's good.
Oh, okay.
It's still streaming.
It's still streaming. So
Okay.
hey everybody that watch this, thanks for watching. And I was gonna do a hypnosis presentation tonight, but I couldn't get it all in order in time. So that one will be maybe next week.
Sean, let me know when you will be ready for that, and I can put you in the schedule for next week.
Cool. Thanks, Liz. And tonight, if anybody wants to check it out, the Comedy Studio will be playing our show from February 16th when we did our show there. So check out the Pick a Side Stupid at the Comedy Studio. At what, 8? I think 8 p.m. they're playing that tonight.
7 on their website.
7 p.m.? Oh, sorry. 7 p.m. everybody on their website. All right.
Well,
I think that's it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Liz.
And then
Bye, team.
Go to the website. Go to YouTube.
And can one of you kick me out of the meeting because I can't see anything?